Team 26 of 52 teams of 8 competitive rival wisdoms that helped make humanity wiser and kinder with antique quotes that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate and entertain generations for centuries. Team quote 26.1. Friends and acquaintances are the surest passport to fortune. Arthur Schopenhauer 1788 to 1860. This is an interesting observation from Schopenhauer, especially coming from someone who was often characterized as a pessimist and who wrote extensively about human suffering. What makes it particularly noteworthy is how it acknowledges the practical importance of social connections, rather than dismissing them as superficial. The use of passport as a metaphor is quite clever, suggesting that relationships are what allow us to cross borders and access new opportunities, just as a passport enables travel. Coming from Schopenhauer, who was often critical of human nature, this recognition of the value of social bonds carries special weight. It's fascinating that despite his reputation for pessimism, he recognized that human connections, both deep friendships and lighter acquaintances, are crucial for success and advancement. It suggests a pragmatic understanding that our fortunes are tied to our social networks, something modern social science has repeatedly confirmed. Have you found this to be true in your own experience? That relationships often open doors that might otherwise remain closed. Team quote 26.2. Creditors have better memories than debtors. Benjamin Franklin 1706 to 1790. This is classic Franklin, witty, concise, and loaded with practical wisdom. What makes it particularly amusing is how it captures a universal truth about human nature through the lens of financial relationships. Coming from Franklin, who was both a successful businessman and a keen observer of human behavior, this observation reflects his understanding of how self-interest shapes memory. The creditor, having parted with something of value, is naturally more motivated to remember the debt than the person who received the benefit. The insight extends beyond just monetary debts. It suggests a broader truth about human psychology. We tend to remember more clearly what is owed to us than what we owe others. Whether it's money, favors, or gratitude, the person expecting to receive something typically has a sharper memory than the person who's supposed to give. Have you noticed this pattern in your own experiences? How people seem to have selective memory when it comes to obligations. Team quote 26.3. Knowledge is power. Francis Bacon 1561, 1626. This concise and powerful statement from Francis Bacon, the English philosopher and pioneer of empirical scientific method, has become one of the most enduring phrases in Western thought. What makes it particularly significant is that it comes from someone who helped revolutionize how we think about acquiring knowledge through observation and experimentation. Coming from Bacon, who served as both Attorney General and Lord Chancellor of England, this wasn't just a philosophical observation. He understood firsthand how knowledge could translate into practical power in law, politics, and science. His advocacy for the scientific method was driven by this understanding that systematic knowledge could give humanity power over nature. What's fascinating is how this simple phrase anticipates so much of the modern world, where information and expertise have become crucial sources of power and influence. Bacon's insight seems even more relevant today, in an age where data and knowledge drive everything from economic success to technological advancement. Have you observed how this principle, that knowledge translates into power, plays out in today's information-driven world? Team quote 26.4. Those who stand for nothing fall for anything. Alexander Hamilton 1757 to 1804. This is one of Hamilton's most penetrating observations, and it feels particularly meaningful coming from someone who stood firmly by his principles, even when it cost him dearly. His fatal duel with Aaron Burr came, in part, from his unwillingness to compromise on his convictions. What makes this quote especially powerful is how it captures the relationship between personal principles and vulnerability to manipulation. Hamilton suggests that without a strong moral or philosophical foundation, people become susceptible to any persuasive argument or passing trend. Coming from one of America's founding fathers, who helped establish many of the nation's fundamental systems and principles, this observation reflects his understanding of how important it is to have clear, well-reasoned positions on crucial issues. Hamilton himself was known for his strong stances on matters like federal power, financial systems, and constitutional interpretation. Have you noticed how people with clear, well-defined principles tend to be more resistant to passing fads or manipulative arguments? Team quote 26.5. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci 1452–1519. This is a profound insight from Leonardo da Vinci, and it's particularly meaningful coming from someone who mastered such complex domains as anatomy, engineering, art, and architecture. What makes it especially powerful is that da Vinci arrived at this conclusion after exploring the deepest complexities of both nature and human creation. The paradox he captures is beautiful, that the height of sophistication isn't in making things more complex, but in distilling them to their essential nature. As someone who studied everything from the flow of water to the flight of birds, da Vinci understood that nature's most sophisticated solutions often appear deceptively simple. This principle is evident in his own work. Think of how the Mona Lisa's mysterious smile achieves its effect through subtle simplicity, or how his mechanical designs often found elegantly simple solutions to complex problems. Have you noticed how the most sophisticated solutions in any field, whether in technology, art, or problem-solving, often turn out to be surprisingly simple once discovered? Team quote 26.6. To teach is to learn twice. Joseph Joubert 1754–1824. This is a brilliant insight from Joubert, the French moralist and essayist. What makes it particularly striking is how it reveals teaching not just as a one-way transmission of knowledge, but as a process that deepens the teacher's own understanding. Coming from Joubert, who spent much of his life as a thinker and writer, helping others develop their ideas, this observation likely reflected his personal experience. When we teach something, we're forced to examine our own understanding more deeply, organize our thoughts more clearly, and often discover new aspects of the subject we thought we knew well. The idea that teaching is a form of learning suggests something profound about knowledge itself, that it's not just a static collection of facts to be passed along, but something that grows and deepens through the act of sharing it. When we teach, we often find ourselves seeing familiar concepts from new angles as we adapt our explanations to different learners. Have you experienced this phenomenon? How explaining something to others helps you understand it better yourself? Team quote 26.7. I'd like to grow very old as slowly as possible. Charles Lamb 1775–1834. This is a wonderfully witty observation from Charles Lamb, the English essayist and poet. What makes it particularly charming is how it twists the common wish to live a long life into something more nuanced. Not just wanting longevity, but wanting to savor the journey there. Coming from Lamb, who was known for his humor and gentle wit, this isn't just about avoiding death. It's about appreciating life as it unfolds. He's making a subtle distinction between simply reaching old age and truly experiencing the fullness of life along the way. What's especially clever is how he captures a universal desire, but expresses it in a way that emphasizes quality over quantity. Rather than just wishing for more years, he's wishing for years that don't rush by too quickly. Have you noticed how some people seem to have mastered this art? Growing older, while maintaining a sense of youth and wonder that makes time feel less hurried. Team quote 26.8. Cleverness is not wisdom. Euripides 480 BC, 406 BC. This is a profound distinction from Euripides, the Greek tragedian who often explored the tension between intellectual brilliance and true understanding. What makes it particularly powerful is how it challenges our tendency to equate quick thinking with deep wisdom. Coming from one of the great dramatists of classical Athens, this observation likely grew from seeing how clever characters in his plays could still make catastrophic mistakes. In his tragedies, Characters who relied on cleverness alone often found their schemes undone by a lack of deeper wisdom. The distinction he draws is still remarkably relevant today. Cleverness might help solve immediate problems or create ingenious solutions, but wisdom involves understanding deeper truths about life, human nature, and consequences. A clever person might find a shortcut, but a wise person knows whether that shortcut should be taken. Have you observed this difference between cleverness and wisdom in your own experience? Perhaps seeing how someone can be intellectually brilliant yet still lack deeper understanding. And if you'd like to help raise school test scores and self-confidence, you can give your kids free, easy, extra advantage math, spelling, and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free, easy math wisdom workbooks with octa repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free easy alpha cipher-coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our learning to spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily. So change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms, repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms, like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence, sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think, therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equality tees help make us all wiser and kinder, with blatantly subliminal messages, promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults, you can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today at 52of8.com.